aspects. I wanted to learn different aspects to make that film and to achieve that film. Apart from that, I just love traveling, love playing football. I'm like a die-hard Messi fan. Pretty sure there are a lot of Messi fans as well. And of course, very much anime fan. So I've been watching anime, and it has been influencing my ideas for a very long time in my life or in my work or whatever it is. So jumping to the next slide. So a quick walkthrough about myself, and it's like I thought the best way, I mean, in motion design or any design, and the best way to give like a walkthrough would be like to show your work. And for motion design, it's a reel. So I thought I'll quickly play my reel too, so that you all can get an idea of what I do. So yeah, that's a brief intro about myself, like my personal and my work-wise. So jumping to the topic, so why actually we need personal projects? So when I initially started, it's like I really didn't know what to, like I was just starting motion design. I was wondering what to do, and like figuring out what to do myself, blah blah blah. And all. I didn't have any leads, so I just thought like in my own ways. I don't know if it's sort of like any proper motion design. You can add like a portfolio pieces or something. At that time, it's like I just wanted to play with motion, so I just took like small topics and did projects for myself. And it's like the idea was just to enjoy, nothing else. So for me, it was just that I enjoy this, so I was doing it, and everything else was a byproduct. I mean, I never really thought why I should do this, and so this is mainly about like why now I'm in a state where like when people ask, it's like I really want to push forward saying like why people should do a lot of personal projects, like their own side gigs stuff. So the main idea which if I have to sell this idea, why you have to do it, the main thing would be like to figure out your own voice, like what you actually want to do, because in your work front or something you already have like a brief, you already have like a certain restriction. So it's like what you want to tell, or what narration, what story you want to tell. You might not, there's like very little chance that you might end up with a project brief or a freelance gig, or like in work front it's like a place where you can actually say what you want to say. So that's like you have an entire freedom to pitch out whatever you want to tell, smallest to biggest things, whatever you want to tell. And then finding your own style. I mean, that is again subjective. I don't know if you really need like a style, but for some time I was like figuring out what actually is my style. Till date, I don't know what is my style. So it's like I don't know if that is actually necessary, but that was one of the influential thing which started the journey, and I'm still figuring out a way, like figuring out a way to figure out what I actually like. Can there be a style, something? Can there be a style label or something put on me? But again, I'm like little subjective on that, whether I need it or not. So I have like it's both ways. And then the biggest thing which I see and which I've highlighted is like the unlimited creative freedom which you get, because there's no one to ask what you have to do or what you want to do. You can do whatever you want. So there's like plus and minus to that, which we'll talk about. So that's the reason I put it in red. It's like an emergency helpline sort of things, and also it can be the danger button. It can go both ways. And the other things would be like to tell your own stories and to explore new stuff, because if you're not doing like your own stuff, it's like you're like sort of in a shell, like because you wait for that project to come so that you can figure out something new. It's like if that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But if you are doing something like your own self, it's like you're going around looking for stuff. You sort of might explore like some really new stuff, which is very new for you, and also maybe it's very new for maybe it's new for the entire industry as well. Also, the byproduct would be portfolio, which I necessarily shouldn't think should be one of the reasons uh, to do personal stuff. It's like I don't think that should be your main motive, but because it's like you start doing your own stuff, it's like you will end up with portfolio. So all these are like byproducts, which I already said. But the main thing which I have to say, and which I strongly believe even now, and that's what's been driving me, is because it's like it's fun to do my own stuff. Because all of us chose this stream because we like this and we want to do this. I don't know if work alone satisfies that. So it's like to have fun is the main goal. For me, it's like I've already said, the only motive I do is like it's fun. It's like when I do it, it's fun. It's like like when we were kids, it's like we should draw because we wanted to draw and we just love the process, not because of output or we put somewhere and it's like we just love colors. So I used to paint watercolor paint only because it seemed interesting to me, and I used to be all by myself painting. It's like I never cared if anyone looked at it or anyone appreciated. I mean, somewhere it's like that appreciation does help. If someone says it's bad, it does hurt. But it never stopped me from doing my next drawing. Like so, that's been carried out unconsciously, and it's like that's a main one of my driving force and main motive of how I try to retain, and which is what I want to tell others also. It's like just have fun with your own whatever free time which you get. You want to do it. You like doing motion design. You want to do your own stuff. Just do it. So rest all byproducts will definitely happen. That's what I wanted to say in this entire project. Like the byproducts will definitely happen. That I can promise, which I've personally seen in myself. So the main motive is to have fun. So coming back to what I think is the biggest fear when a lot of people reach out, and it's like pretty straight. It's like I know a lot of people, help out people who start. It's saying like take out like a brief, take a product, make like an imaginative product, make like a explanatory video around it, or make like a fun video around it. Take a small narrative, make like a video around it. Like people try to help all the beginners, but still there's like some fear in them. It's like they don't start. I've seen a lot of examples where they're not able to, like push it forward for some reason. Which slowly I've realized, and it's like I've seen it in myself happening at the beginning, and I still see it. And I think it's like that happens with all professionals or intermediate or like even beginners or like anyone in the industry. I still believe this is like something which happens with most of us. So the biggest fear comes with empty canvas. Like when you start out, it's like you come one fine day and it's like let's do up like a project, and you're like confused because you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do and you don't know how to do it. Like why should I do it like then? And then your skills, techniques, is that like a burden for you? Is it limiting your narrative, what you want to say? Like probably it's like I don't have the skill set now. I'll figure out the skill set and come back to this, and it gets delayed and it never happens. And then of course the biggest thing which I feel is the social media, which is like a boon and bane. So social media has like thrown out all the motion design things which happen global upfront. So which gives a lot of knowledge to us, but at the same time, it makes us sort of feel like a little inferior at times because the quality outside is like really big, and when you're starting it, like it can just be like a big burden on yourself. So social media can be both, but my thing is like somehow I've like tried to stick away from it because even I tend to have this social media burden on myself. The only way I've said is like I let my brain think and I just keep doing what I want. So if it's bad, it's bad. It's okay. So it's like what I've thought is like it's like a practice. It's like someone else is paying me. You just have to do it. Do it. So that's how I try to stick to it. So these are the main things, and like that you'll have to overcome that empty canvas somehow. It's like you just put a dot and you just start. Don't have this overburden. Then comes like so how I mean like there's no like single way to figure out how to start and all, because an empty canvas can be scary. But the best way is like you figure out what your objective is, even if it's like a personal project. No, it's like you have like a certain objective to it. It's like you want to narrate a story, or it's like something happened in your life. Like a small incident, and you want to tell out in a funny way, or like there's like a social cause or something you want to pitch it forward, or it's like you learned like a new skill or a new technique or a new something is like and you want to try it out. So keep your objective clear so that it's like it becomes uh, you know what you're doing, because like I said again in that red color, the unlimited creative freedom, right? It's like if you don't have the circle, you don't know what to do about it. You get lost and you sit on a couple of days, you're thinking about it, slowly your energy is lost, and then it's like back to zero again. Then it's like you're like, I don't know what to do, I'm stuck. So the only way is like figure out like a small objective. Don't have this mountain kind of output quality on yourself. And again, what I've seen is like when people on your work front or in your freelances or whatever gigs you do for someone else, you know, like the general complaint is like most of the times you give out best quality output. Sometimes it's like it changes and like it go through a lot of changes, and you are like, I know what is the creative best way possible. I don't know why people don't understand it. You get frustrated. But when it comes to personal project, people think that's not there. That's the reason they come in. But it's like there's like an unreal expectation of yourself, which I think is like the biggest burden. Like more than freelance or whatever it is. I think like personal project, the biggest thing is like you want to do that ultimate project, which I think never exists, because once you finish a project or even in the process of finishing a project, you always sort of start disliking it because you're improving along with the project. So that improving will always happen. So there's no ultimate project as such. There are projects which are best, which the best can keep changing over time. There are projects which you like, but I don't believe there's an ultimate project. So it's nice to draw like a boundary, whatever comes to your head at that moment. Take your time, but it's like don't delay it too much because of some ultimate reasons. Having like a super pitch perfect project or something like that. And then what happens is once the project starts, like in the process, there's a lot of, I mean, one section is like they don't start, and once they do, it's like this. I know a lot of people who have like an incomplete work. They just stop midway because they think it's not good. It's technically not so great. It's not. I mean, when I put out, my peer group is not going to appreciate it because it's technically nothing over there. Then story wise, probably I get like better ideas. I'm like, I mean, I got a better idea. Why should I do this? And then over time, also your idea also slowly lose interest in it. Which sometimes after you finish, it might really click with others. But in the process, if it stretches for too long, you sort of doubt about your idea, and then you really want to be your idea to be unique and out of the box. All these constraints, which again comes from social media, there's like big pressure over there. But I would say like whatever you start, you will have to finish. Make it a rule as such. If it's bad, if it's bad, it's okay. So because you learn stuff from it anyways. I don't know if you have to look any productive side out of it, but if I have to give something, you learn stuff out of it anyways. But it's like you're doing it to enjoy. So it's like try to, I mean, I wouldn't say try to, you will have to make sure you make it a practice to finish whatever you start. How much of a time you take. Sometimes I've started like projects like 1 year back. I mean, like I'll start now, it won't work out to the way I want it. I give it like a pause. And sometimes after a year or something, I open my old After Effects files to look for whatever, is there any old inspirations? And then I start to reworking on it. So make sure you finish whatever you start and try to withhold that expectation you have of yourself. So yeah, to start with, it's like I'll just go through like my journey, how it started. So when I started, it's like I was not like super technically strong, like very new to After Effects, learning by myself. And there were like nice tutorials, but I think it's like it was not as much as we have now. So it's like I have limited ideas, but it's like I'm like I just waited for a couple of months to learn After Effects. Then I got irritated because I was learning all technically. It was there in my head, but nothing was seen on papers or anywhere. So I said like, okay, let's just start with whatever I know. I was like, I started learning very slowly. Like I was not like running, was not like super fast because it took some time for me to consume because it was going along with my academic stuff also. So I just gave my own constraints. I said like let me use only geometric shapes, basic geometric shapes, and like the basic 5 properties: position, scale, rotation, opacity, path, which I still think does most of my work. 90% of the work, I mean like maybe over exaggerating, but 90% of the work, if you get these things right, it's like the basics is strong. Rest all is just an extra addition. It's like cherry on top. So if you get this right, this is like the most basic and the most important thing. 90% work will be done. And also I thought it's like, okay, let's stress on storytelling because that's where the that's where that's the reason why we wanted to do this. Like you wanted to do your own stuff, the little things which you wanted to say or you experience or you see like abstract shapes or whatever, like whatever your personality speaks, it just has to come out on canvases. So I just started making these small things where it's like this was about motivation. It's trying to leap, but it's not reaching, but it never gives up. Like something like that. And this was about imperfection, which I believe there's nothing called perfect. So if you try to push it perfect, it's always imperfect. The shadow and this thing, it never aligns. This was about flexibility and rigidity, and this was about melancholy. This was about how I just took about housefly. So I took the inspiration of H and used it like a housefly, which because it's really hard to. I don't think you can ever kill a housefly, which I've never done in my life. So this is like an illusion where it's like you're traveling in a straight line, but in fact you're going in curves when you see from a larger like a top view. So I'll just like quickly show like my old work so that it's like I just don't show my best works. It doesn't. So these are like small things which I've used the same old stuff. So this is about New Year. I using my engineering things. It's like this is the housefly. So I don't have this old one. So I had recolored it sometime later. So I just share those. I'll just quickly go through this. You can see a lot of like I mean, it's like it's a beginner kind of work, which again is subjective, but yeah. So the basic thing was I was just limiting myself, not limiting myself. I was like, whatever I know, I'll just kickstart it. Let's not wait for to learn the entire After Effects with all the visual effects, with all the particular or all the plugins or something. So let's just start. So I think that was the best decision I took. So briefly, this was about trigger where it's like, it's like a vicious cycle trigger. It's like it keeps hitting someone else. It goes like a vicious cycle. And some random gifs which I did. So this I'll just show, but quickly. And then I figured out. I mean, I got to know that this 36 days of typo, so I just started my own stuff. Like I picked my small words with each letter, adjust, circle, balance. Um, so briefly, I think this was one of my favorite projects because I just explored. It's the same application of file things, like till now it still amazes me because I just use the same five things, duplicated Q. This was about, I think it was Q. So this was that yo, and this is zip. I think Z. So I used Z zip. So coming back to this, so I don't think you need a lot of technical things always to start. You can always start with whatever you have, but you always have a story to tell. So it's like take the story and tell in the best way possible whatever you know on that particular time. And then I expanded it to characters. Like over time, it's like I improvised my skills. Even this, you see, it's like most of the things are like basic animations. It's like people who are listening would already know. It's like it's not something complicated animations. Maybe like a couple of them are a little bit, but the main thing is like I started exploring colors and different. I tried to add like characters and a narrative. This was like when I came to Chennai and it was like we had like heavy rain and I think umbrella was useless. It was not, we were not able to color. And this was about me teaching my nephews about addition and subtraction, and I just got like a quick idea. It's like to remove and to add. These are like basic explorations which I did. This was for Mother's Day. It's like I imagined like a clock. So it's basically you put anchor point here. It's just rotation, and there's like a very basic walk cycle which I did that time, and which I have put on a path and put around it. So very basic stuff, nothing complicated here. So coming to this slowly, it's like how I improved over time. Now it's like I came. What comes in personal projects is like I figured out I have a lot of weakness because once you enter industry, you sort of know that you don't know a lot of stuff. The main thing was music and sound. So most of the times production, how it goes is like we finish a video, we edit it, and then we sort of try to get like music which sort of syncs with it, which is really hard to get unless you compose yourself. I mean, you compose a music for it. compose music for the piece. So it's like I was like I was not able to understand music. It's like when people were saying and giving feedbacks, I was like either I am not understanding it or they are saying something wrong, because it's like I was not able to get it. So I started like small gigs where it's like, like I said, okay, let's not start with the visual, let's start with the sound. So what I did was, this was one site which pop, it's like a open site where a lot of independent sound designers put like small music, small beats, small voice recordings and stuff. So I went to this site and like I downloaded small bit of music or some beats, and then I said, okay, this is my starting point. Now I have to design the visuals for the beats. So it's like I used to listen to the loop music in loops and like try to figure out how it goes. And so it goes in this order. This is my latest work. This is my starting work. So I'll just quickly be.
I think sound is not there.
The sound is not audible. Okay.
Yeah, the sound was not.
No idea why that is happening. Should I reshare or any idea why that's happening?
You can try resharing. Okay, we'll see if that fixes the issue.
Just quickly reshare.
Share the tab, Rohit. There will be an option like sharing the audio also.
Okay. Only the tab, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know if it works now. A sec.
Yeah.
Yeah, works.
So then it's like then I thought it's like I'm just sticking to like a static screen. I'm not moving around in space. So it's like these were done in different gaps, maybe like 6 months, 1 year, I don't know, like randomly different gaps over years or 5 years. So I used to come back whenever. All right. So it's like I did that, and then it's like I thought these two were like done back to back because I just started. These are like seamless loops. And then I was like trying to figure out colors, and there was like a huge gap between this and this. I'll come back how I improved colors and whatever I thought. Then it's like this is my latest. Yeah. So that's like I you know this helped me out because it's like the visuals, everything was planned according to this. Uh, the audio was always given preference over the visuals. Coming to this, it's like I thought I'll share like a quick rig. Do we have enough time for this, or should I do this at the end?
Yeah, I think we can do this. It's fine with me.
Or maybe it's like I have like two things to show. It's like I'll do it at once. So I'll
Sure, yeah, you can do that, and we can come back to this in the end also. That works too.
sure. So I thought I'll give like a quick small demo to how I did this using expressions, basic rigs. Coming back, it's like this was something which I think it's like in personal project. Like I said, it's like because there's no limitation. You might end up with places where you never intended to go and you never knew about it. So this was like a sweet accident for me, where it's like I figured out there's something called P5.Js. It's like an open coding place. You people can explore it. It's like you have like a web editor, so everything you can do in web. You don't have to necessarily install it. So the point is, I'll one second. So sorry, because just because the sound is not working, we'll have to switch, I guess. So yeah. So I'll quickly show like just I won't go anything deep because it's just like it'll take a lot of time to explain. But these are like small things which I figured out, which was surprisingly good for me because like like you could generate a lot of stuff just with code. There's nothing you're not handling anything visual, and you can always change. Like say it might give you like very different stuff and it changes in real time and probably it's like you don't want colors, so those kind of things. I'll just run through with other things which I did. So this is like fully coded, which was something new because I didn't know there was something like this which existed. Until date I've not found like any practical or client based or any work related implementation for this, but it's like fun. I think it might be useful at some point of time. And I think it's like most of the things were like sort of like accidents. I sort of took like basic principles or properties from Max and like sort of played around it. So these are not like visualized by me, but these are like small tweaks and here and there with the properties, variables in Max and formulas, and you just end up with something, and then you see maybe I can tweak this and make it in a way I want it. So it's like 50% start first 50% is sort of like you wait for that nice thing to appear and then you make use of it. So that's like another coded stuff. And another thing. And this will come to this. Yeah. So coming back to our presentations. So it's nice. That's another reason you should do personal projects. I really feel because you will end up in places which you never knew, never imagined, and probably if you don't do it, you will never know throughout. I guess. So the best thing which happened to me was this, which I showed you now in coding. It's like I sort of generated this, and I mean I got this visuals, and then it's like I said, that was an accident. I used some basic math property, and then it's like this was an accident. Then I was like, let's try to use it. Sort of looked like a face to me, so I added like eyes, nose, and saw like okay, like this is working, and then I somehow managed to took some time and sort of understood the variables, properties of the max and tweaked it so that I could get like multiple faces, which you see here, which I'll quickly show. May not be the entire video. Okay, it's like you can't hear sound in this, but I think it's okay. There's like a background music. So the next part was like I said earlier, it's like I was struggling with colors, but I really didn't know how to do it in motion design. And then before I go to this, it's like there's always this problem of Me being a motion designer or an animator, should I learn like other stuff? I can specialize, or should I become like a generalist? I think it's a very uh, individual opinion whether you want to be like specialist or generalist. But my belief is, even if you're a specialist, you need some idea of colors or visual design or music or whatever, different aspects of an video project. You need not know how to draw or color, or I'm not saying you need to be like an illustrator, visual designer, like post production, VFX guy, everything. No. But it's better you have knowledge, so that it's like at some point of time you will start leading projects, I believe. Wherever you are, it's like you won't be limited to motion design alone. So even if you're like a specialist, it's good to know how to handle this, like if you have to give feedbacks on colors. And also I think this sort of uh, changes your motion language also, because sometimes even I face this thing. It's like where visual design, they don't know much about motion and movement, so sometimes you might have to guide. So it's like you might have to tell them about different forms or colors, something, whatever feedbacks in terms of motion or something. So that so it's always nice to learn things other than whatever you like. I think it's better to learn, because at some point it will be useful for you, I guess. So for me, it was like I was struggling with colors and I wanted to push it. Then I started illustrating, and it's like for 5 years I've been doing like illustrating and this thing. So the main thing which I started illustrating was, like I said, it was about film. It's like I want to do my own uh, color palette, like make your own visual stuff and this thing. That's how it started, and slowly I started liking it. Yeah. So quickly running through with different over time. So let's not. And the next beautiful thing about personal projects is the sweet accidents which happen, like I said in the code thing. So most of the times, like sometimes I know what to do. I go to After Effects, I come with like a narrative, and then I start with the After Effects. Like I make like a small storyboard and like small visual references, and then I start in After Effects. There are times when I don't have idea and I don't want to think too much. So I just go to After Effects, make like shape layers, try random effects and see whatever it is. Most of the times you don't end up with anything, but there are like this very unique times you end up with something and you see like a scope for it to be blown up into like a new project or like a series or something. This was one such where it's like it was never intended. It was never a project about flowers or flora or anything about it, but it just eventually came out to be like that. So I'll quickly play. Now music. Switching back tab to tab might be a problem. So later on, you can check with music. So at the ending, when I'm showing the rig, right, I'll show the building pattern which I said what I figured out and how it expanded. So it's that one single accident. I wanted to do more than this, but I got bored of it. Like probably I'm just like being in my own safe place. So it's like I stopped. That's the reason I stopped. So I made like a small. Then I started learning. I took a course for expressions in School of Motion, and I started using expressions, which I really think is like a really powerful thing. So I made like small rigs. I made like 3 4 rigs, but I lost most of it. I just have one rig online. So rest all, it's like I've lost the source file. So you can check this out. I'll share it. It's open, so anyone who wants to explore can explore it. Then it's like I said, it's like my whole motto was to make short films, and then I was like, I'm not making like any big projects. I might lose a knack of doing like big projects in this thing. Then it's like I thought it like I didn't have like I don't have enough time to make like a proper pre-production, make like a full-fledged film as such. I said okay, let's at least to keep the practice going on, right? Let's do like small things, whatever I can, like whatever immediate ideas I get, like quickly just jump in. So these are like practice short films is what I would call. I don't know if we have time to play that. We'll play one of them maybe. Oh, the sound is not audible, right? I think it's better with the sound. Sorry for this. Second, I'll just reshare only for this. Just let me know if the sound is audible.
Mundial,
Yeah?
Yep, everything's fine.
Mundial, mi última oportunidad de conseguir ese gran sueño que,
Where's Messi? Where's Messi? ¿Dónde está Messi? Where's Messi? ¡Messi, barra! ¡La barra!
Recuerda mi nombre, Leo Messi.
So this was a tribute to Messi after he won, but actually speaking, I didn't end up liking this project at the end because I worked on it for 8 months and then there was like a OS crash and I lost all the working files, like entirely. Then it's like I was done only halfway through and the rest of it was animatic where it's like it was going with the backgrounds. So I sort of dropped it, and then 2 months later, I somehow figured out there was like a low-res video version which I sent to the sound mixing guy. So I happened to come across it. If you can see, the entire video is pixelated. Then it's like I said, like okay, let's just finish it because I really wanted to make this. So then again, I took like another 3-4 months working on the video. So I was like, the second part and the first part, most of it I was correcting on the video using this Photoshop AI, like correcting backgrounds, those things. So it's like I'm happy I finished it, but that's like a small thing which still hurts. So latest, it's like I'll quickly go through. It's like I'm just looking at some patterns. I just figured out like I can have like a static pattern and then I can have like some, this I haven't yet posted. Thought I'll show it here. It's still working. So yeah. So finally, I think we've almost come to the end. I think for anyone who wants to know, if the biggest strength would be to know the weaknesses. I have too many now. It's like I have zero. I'm like okay with typography now, but I still lack a lot on it. Colors, character design, morphing is it. I have to do work on them. So yeah, that's it. So it's like I can quickly show the rig if we have time. Do we have enough time? Or
We do, you can go through that.
I'll just take like quickly like 5 minutes, just like a brief thing because we can't go like any in-depth stuff. So first about the building block which I told about the petal and flowers, right? So it was basic page turn, which we all know. So I used page turn and just animated the fold position. But there was like something missing. And most projects, it's like mix and match of 3-4 different combinations of different effects or different properties is what makes it best. So the same thing which I took it to another comp, I pre-comped this, made it 3D and just applied like rotation and scale to it. So, and then if I chop the first frame maybe or make it like little clean here.
Rohit, your screen share is off right now.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's, one second. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we can.
So I'll just quickly repeat. So it's like this is a building block which I said for that entire flower series which we saw. It uses a basic page turn, which most of us know. So it's like I used the fold position to just animate it. But this was bothering. I don't know what I could do with it. So I just pre-comped this layer, got it into another comp, and then made it 3D and applied rotation and scale to it, which sort of got me an idea. Maybe I can duplicate this around and make it like flowers and leaves. So that's the idea. So mixing up two different properties or effects or this thing makes it really powerful at times. So that's one thing. And this was a rig which I spoke about, which is open source and you people can play around with, develop it. So you can change the outside stroke thickness, you can make it round or not, and then it's like you can make the circle and you can move around, you can move the entire thing. So you can just try it out. You can just also hide whatever you don't want. So say you don't want the rectangle to be seen. Yeah. So you can try this out. I think they'll share the link, the chat box. So coming to the rig, what I quickly wanted to show is this thing which I did for the music beats. It's pretty straightforward. So expression, I basically use just 2-3 expressions, nothing complicated in that. So I'll just quickly do for the circle. So it's like you take this line, take the position, put it to 1 second. Bottom line position, parent it to null, and then this is middle actually. So again, take this position and parent it. So now it's like you have this two lines which are just controlled by two uh, nulls. So what I actually want is when I have to pull it. So basically here, I want the circle to just scale within the lines. Like so I can animate both of them also. It's like so quickly just. So it's like super powerful. And even the basic thing, it becomes like super powerful when you animate it in different ways. I mean, like roughly showing that. So there, when you have like multiple things, you can do something like what I showed you earlier. So now we have the lines, and now we'll go to the circle. I'll just show like one example. This is the same thing which I've used in my rig also. So what we want is we want to control the radius of the circle and the center of the circle. So quickly for the radius, we choose size. So we make two variables, variable x, variable x, and you just go to. So our controlling is basically the y position of both the nulls. So what we'll do is quickly take this whip and take it to the bottom null y position. Okay, that's your first. Keep it x1 so that it's not confusing. Take it to That was bottom, and next is we need for the middle one. Okay. So let's see. What we want is the difference, the distance, or the difference between these two will be a circle size, right? So what I'll do is I'll quickly subtract these two, x minus x1, and then give it as the output. So now when you do it, the size is perfect, but the position of the circle is not fitting in because basically it's just stuck at one place. I want it to move like this, right? So now let's just quickly animate the position. We'll just use the first two properties. So coming to the position of the circle, how to retain is basically it's always in the middle point of the circle, which is the anchor. Our circle's anchor will always be middle uh, at the midpoint of these two nulls, right? The basic principle. So even if I decrease it, so if you draw like a line and if you divide it into two, our anchor point will like align with the midpoint of both the nulls. So using that property, what we'll do is we'll just use a midpoint uh, formula. Basically, you subtract y minus y1 to get this distance. You subtract this and this, right? So I'm adding an absolute. This expression is mainly because in case if the thing goes negative, it's like if it goes on top or this goes on top. So I shouldn't be defining which is on top always, right? You can crisscross also. So it's like absolute, basically whatever null value we have here, it just makes it positive. So we can give it in any order, x minus x1 or x minus x1 minus x, however you want it. And value 0 will retain whatever circle property, the position property value it has. And then I want my y to be m by 2. So the formula is x dividing, I mean like subtracting these two and by dividing it by 2. Should have worked. 1 second. X minus x1. I don't know what went wrong. X is. Second, these expressions can be a little tricky. So, okay, sorry. I use a wrong formula. Sorry about that. It's basically addition because we are finding the midpoint. So we are so to find midpoint, it's just add both of these and just divide it by 2. So just divide it by 2. So that's your reg basically. And the same thing you do for rectangle, you will get, like instead of radius, you just go and give it for our size. Our size should follow our size will be same. Instead of dividing it by 2, the rectangle size would be the distance between these two, which is x minus x1. Sorry, got confused about that. So that's like a short rig thing which I wanted to show. So this can be like super powerful, like how I showed in this. When you put like you see in this. So it's like you can if you do this manually, it takes a lot of time, and I don't know, it will break your head. So if you can make like a rig like this, it's easy to control. You can edit it easily, you can correct it easily, and also you can always expand it, and you can have like innumerable amount of combinations. So here I've given an extra property to how it should move along the x-axis also. So that's an extra addition. Yeah. So that's a quick rig. And this is a rig which I spoke about. You can just move them. So yeah, that's about it. So any questions? I can take it up.
Thanks for that great presentation, Rohit. It was really cool to see your entire process and how you navigate going from exploration to final product and then have these different variations in style and treatment. We are opening up the floor right now to any kind of questions, so and comments also if you have. So please feel free to unmute your microphones and yeah, ask away. And if you would prefer to chat, do it over chat, then do drop your questions and comments on the chat. So until then, I wanted to talk about how you use the CC page turn. That was a very smart way of using it to create that one unit that you then duplicated multiple times to create that whole animation.
Yeah.
That was a very cool little thing.
Yeah. Actually, most of effects or whatever it is, which seem like overused or something, when you start like playing around with it, it's like I said, like you will end up with something nice, and you can always expand it. So you just have to wait for that spark to happen. So yeah, I think most of the effects will have like a small, beautiful application like that. So it's nice to just play around in After Effects.
Yeah, yeah, and the Messi film that you made had these really hectic camera movements happening as well as very hectic looking animation going on. I have many questions, but I don't know if we'll be able to cover so many in this one call. I don't know if you would be able to shed any light on that right now. The way you manipulated the camera or the shapes to make that look to achieve the look.
So it's like I made it like a point to keep it entirely in After Effects in most of this projects. So it's like I've not used like heavy. There's no 2D as such. I just have like an animatic reference at times, but it's like the entire thing is done in After Effects. Like, so,
Oh, really? Very cool. That's very cool. One part, like a lot of it, for 1 second looked like 3D. I think especially that one turn where I think it goes from over the shoulder shot to like a frontal shot
yeah.
or a side. I'm not sure, but yeah, very very cool. And even the compositing is very very nice. The lighting, the stadium, the glows that you've used, that looks super good.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, anyone questions, comments? Feel free to unmute your mic.
Yeah, not a question. Just want to talk about something that you addressed in the beginning about the blank page thing. I think one of the biggest issues is like lack of technical skills, especially since we tend to compare ourselves to like all these things that we see on social media. So we always hold ourselves to that level of skill, and when we fall short of it, it becomes really difficult to finish a personal project. At least that's what happens with me. So I guess like having like a realistic expectation of yourself helps there, but that always doesn't happen.
What I've figured out is like I think the technical learning will never stop. So it's like at any point of time, I think I'll get some new technical learning like 2 days later. So it's like which will might be better than 2 days. So it's like that shouldn't stop. That's why I say like whatever you start, there's 99% most of the times it's like in between project you feel like I know a better way to do something else. So you stop like you said. So you just make it a habit to finish. So that's the only way I guess.
True. Yeah, it was also very interesting to see how you've used just like the basic properties to create like such interesting animations.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's also very inspiring.
Thanks. So anyone else, any questions?
Again, not a question, but next to the Messi movie, you had one which had a goldfish or a fish.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious to see that if you would be open to playing it right now. I think we have another 5 minutes.
Yeah, I can do that.
Sure, awesome. We do have one question, so if you can take that up before or after.
Sure. So should I take the question first or
Sure, if that's fine, yeah.
so what's the question?
Just a second, I'll read it out. So how to pick up a unique style?
So that's something even I don't I don't know how that happens. I don't know if I have a style myself yet. So like I said, it's like The journey still is like, do I need a style? Then some people say it's like you have a style where I can know that that's your work, but I'm not able to figure it out. But there's like I don't know. Personally, I think style is not something which you consciously pick. Like for projects, maybe like for some other projects we can do. But if you want like an innate style for yourself, I think it grows over time with you, because I think style is a little too deep about yourself. So I think it grows. It's like as you keep working years and unconsciously it just grows along with you. I think that would be my answer. I mean, that's what I figured out. I'm like, someday it'll just come out and I'll get to know what it is. Apparently, others say that you have like a unique, I mean, you have a style and that's nice, which I don't know what they are actually referring to. So, yeah.
Yeah, fair.
So, any other questions or just.
As of right now, no, but I think, yeah, if you could show that thing until then, maybe.
Yeah. So that's like a brief shot again to no, I mean, I didn't want to get out of that film practice because that's a main goal. So I'm like, this was not like, I didn't follow that usual pre-production where it's like I made like a story character and all. This was like just like any other small personal project. It just became like a film later on. So. So this was actually this was not like supposed to be like a film. So we do a lot of challenges, like weekly challenges, daily challenges. And the topic this was liberty. So initially I made like an illustration, and then it's like I thought I'll just make it like a short film. And then it was not like a pre-production where I had, because a lot of shots happened during the process itself. So it's like mix and match of different things. So yeah.
That was really nice. I again have many questions on how you got the compositing and the lighting.
Yeah, all done in After Effects. So it's like I try to stick with.
Yeah, I'm imagining there's a lot of layers happening.
Yeah,
Like a lot of layers. But yeah, very cool look.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
Yeah, I had a question about the style thing. Like I was saying earlier about how social media has influence. So, do you, and it definitely affects your style, right? Because you pick up from other artists also. So, do you think sometimes doing a social hiatus, like keeping yourself away from all this, will be helpful or harmful?
Very subjective, I guess. I think it's helpful. See, I mean, if you ask me a question like that, ideal thing would be like to see all the work, get all the knowledge, and do your own stuff. Don't get don't get pulled by all those or intimidated by all those things. But that's really hard as humans. That's really hard for us to do. So ideally, that never works in reality scenario. You're always comparing yourself with the great people works who you see online. I mean, like one hack is like that's what it's like. I think it as a client project, no? Like I think freelance or client project or any office project, no matter what the scenarios, you just finish it because there's someone nagging in your head. So you just nag your head and finish it, but that cribbing will always be there. I guess it's hard to come out of it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yati has written something for you in the chat. Are you able to look at it?
1 second, I'll just see. Ati, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Rahul. I just wanted to appreciate that you are still working for yourself and doing some stuff on your own.
Yeah.
Big inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ati.
Actually, this brought up a question for me. So, do you prefer calling yourself a motion graphic artist, a motion designer, um, motion artist? What do you
I
usually go by?
have no idea. Work front, I just say motion graphics because that's the best way to get work. But I really don't know what to call. I would ideally want to call myself like an animation filmmaker, but uh, I mean, I do like motion design now, but it's like I think I've sort of started liking motion branding. So I don't know what to call myself. I just do what I like. To be super honest, I mean, as long as this is not like an interview question. So to be super honest, I
No,
just
it's not.
so it's like some random day, like how Aishwarya said. So I just see some nice illustration. I sort of start illustrating, and then for 2 months I just don't animate. I just illustrate, and then I'm like, shit, I forgot motion design. I come back. So filmmaker, yes. Motion designer, yes. So yeah, I think I gave a confusing answer. Yes. So,
I think it's good because the space is still a gray space in animation. So yeah, different people have different perspectives about it. Like I also say motion designer. I don't prefer motion graphic artist or motion graphic designer.
yeah.
I make a distinction between them. Being my distinction being that motion design is more graphically approached, um, which is also how I ended up here. So yeah, that's the distinction that I make between the other terms.
But like you said, I think it's all merged now because sometimes if I have to define motion design, motion graphics, I frankly don't know because at one point when I was beginning, I thought it was everything about visual design like typography or shapes which come into life is what is motion design where you do for title animation or other animation or using graphics basically. But I think now even characters have come in, so it's like I don't know how to differentiate like animation and motion graphics. Essentially, I can come out with few technical things, but no, it's like you said, it's merging a lot. So
Yeah, it is. I think the difference for me is that I find motion graphics or motion graphic artist to be much more of a older term, and motion design being something which has come out as a newer name.
okay,
Um, so also the perception of other people towards what these are is slightly different. So for the older term being say motion graphic artist, for example, people think that you're After Effects heavy as a person working on as an animator or like any of these terms, and you basically work more on like title animation only, or like you add supers of some kind or overlays of some kind onto existing footage, um, or like add like small VFX things, and that's mostly it.
yeah,
While motion design has, I see it as a completely separate discipline, or maybe a discipline which has grown from that, where you're developing your entire assets yourself. You're also an illustrator. You have graphic design knowledge which you use to simplify the kind of communication that you're making. um, so yeah, I would say it's more of a design first approach, um, and then you kind of also then add in the animation principles and things like that. That's kind of how I make the distinction for myself.
Hmm.
But yeah, your thoughts?
Sorry, was it a question? I mean,
I mean, if you have any thoughts, but no, it's
um, message. Thank you, Arnandan. I think Shabir has a question.
yeah. You can go ahead, Shabir.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, 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 Shabir.
Uh, so, so since you talked about motion branding also, so I had like, how does the process look like while doing a motion branding, like away from doing a motion design project?
So motion branding, I think it uh, heavily revolves around. So it's like I do for a company, so the place I work. So we try to bring out the entire branding process where it's like you figure out a voice for the company. It's almost like you sort of try to treat them like a person, a voice for the company, and what the company should look like from outside to give like a personal touch. And then based on that, you make like the motion movements around it. What I've noticed is in motion branding is like you give more space to the narrative and thought more than the motion. So it's like if you see, you don't make fancy motion or anything, you don't make anything which you want to look nice, because the main priority is the narrative which you want to say for the company. So it's basically like how the text is handled. It can be like very simple, but it should go along with the company motto and the voice of the company. So I think in motion design and motion branding, I would say like in motion branding, the visual takes a little second place to the narrative, because it's the branding is, I mean, the entire thing is about the branding of the company, right? So it's like that takes the first place. So it's like you don't prioritize motion or make any fancy movements because it has to look appealing as such. That's just an extra addition if it works. So that's
Right, makes sense. So I had also this doubt. So when we talk about passion projects and all, so while doing a couple of projects also, s- you start one and maybe you achieved more than what you thought you could have achieved from that project, and then starting the second one, like there is this thing like I made a pretty good one, so will the next project be as good as the one that I did before? So that's something that I am like facing right now. So how do you deal with that?
that definitely happens, I guess. So what I've seen is like sometimes I take like a not like a break. So once I finish a project, I generally what I do is I try to do something different in each project. So it's like I don't try to repeat it. Say for example, it's like when it becomes a little repetitive, I look for something new, maybe a new narrative. So it's like a repeat. It's like the best thing is the narrative never gets old. Like so the technique maybe it's like you can compare, but the narratives are like if you say like a small story, or like if you like how I said about my GIF. So my initial GIFs and later on GIFs, I really like the narratives in them even now. So skill wise, maybe there's a little difference, but narratives I think it's always like it stays there. So that's one thing which I'll say. The second point is that pressure will be there. I think the only way to escape is just make sure you just enjoy the process. So you will do it because you enjoy it. I mean, sometimes I do project only to see how the output looks like. Like how you're making like a puzzle, you're solving a puzzle like this jigsaw puzzle to just to see the output. So I'm like, I get like super curious to see the final output, and sometimes, like you said, I've been like a little disappointed with it. It's like it's not as good as the old one. Like it's okay. And also social media might help in this particular case. Like how you get inspirations and you get to know, okay, there's like a better scope for me yet. I'll start working towards it. So that's like an extra plus point for in terms of social media. So yeah.
Oh, that helps. Yeah. Also, like professionally, like are you right now only doing motion branding professional wise, and the motion design work, is it just personal side of you?
No. I do motion branding. So I work in a corporate. Uh,
All right. Okay.
yeah. So it's like I do motion design and motion branding. This whatever I showed today is purely my personal stuff, just to explore what I like.
Thank you for responding.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean.
Cool. I think we can wrap up now.
Sure.
Thank you so much again, Rohit, for taking us through all of your super cool work and your entire thought process and how you go about using After Effects and P5.Js and all of these cool tools. Thanks everyone for joining in. Also, this is the first weekday talk that we've done, and we had a good turnout. So we hope to have more of these in the future again. And stay tuned for the next month's talk as well. You can follow us on our socials. The links of all of those are in the chat still. Do follow Rohit as well. All of his links to his socials are also in the chat. And this call has been recorded, so we'll be working on uploading this roughly within the next week or so. Yeah, that's it for tonight. Thank you again, everyone, for joining in, and thanks, Rohit, so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, Aishwarya. Thank you all.
Thanks, Rohit. Good night.
Thanks. Good night.
Bye, guys.